Hello and welcome to the 54th episode of the BTF podcast, live on YouTube, also available on iTunes, Spotify, and all good podcast providers. As of last week, we were back on all of those services, which is actually really good. I listened to the show back, just the audio-only version, and I must say, actually, I'd kind of missed that. I do like a podcast. If you're traveling somewhere, it's nice just to put those headphones in. You can really lock into the thing and you're not distracted by how beautiful Jonathan Boothie is on the video. So I'd first of all like to welcome him to the show. He's back for his second show. You weren't too scared to come back?
Nah, not at all, mate. I'm buzzing. I'm buzzing to be here, man.
And at the moment, we're joined only also by Greg Hollands, Greg TMR. How are you, Greg?
Yeah, man, all good. Loving tier 2 life. Going great, mate.
Life. That's where it's at, isn't it?
Yeah,
we'll hopefully also be joined shortly by Johnny Mills. So there's going to be a 50% Arsenal backing here on the show. I'm hoping he joins us fairly soon because we're going to talk about Arsenal probably second on the show today. First up, we have a little preview, I guess, of the live game happening now, which is Burnley versus Spurs. It's our first show that we've had where there's actually... no, last week's show we had a live game, but it was one that no one cared about. Tonight we've got actually like some interest in this game. Obviously, Greg, you're a big Spurs fan. What's your thoughts on the game tonight, lineup-wise and result?
I think Burnley can be a difficult team. They're a very physical team, but Jose's playing a really physical team to match that. I've tended to stop listening to Jose in his pre-match press conferences because he likes to play the mind games and all of that. He likes to double bluff and things. This evening he said if we're expecting 4, 5, 6 goals, that's not going to be happening. But I mean, we've got Kane and Son playing up front and Ndombele on form, Højbjerg. I mean, there's every chance it could happen. But, you know, it will be a very physical team. But, you know, I think we've got a point to prove after the West Ham game. We're off a good, very, very good performance in Europe on Thursday. But I think we can pick up 3 points here for sure. But Burnley are a tough, tough team.
Also, is Gareth Bale in the starting lineup or did he make the bench?
He's on the bench. We've got a really strong bench. It's nice to see a really good bench at Tottenham for once. But we've got some real pace and real flair on the bench. So I feel like as we tire their players out with the physicality, if we put on some substitutes around 50th minute, 60th minute, we might pinch a few goals there, I think.
Yeah. So, yeah, bench of Joe Hart, Gareth Bale, Eric Lamela, Carlos
Rodon.
Vinicius, yeah, Joe Rodon. Joe Rodon?
Yeah.
The podcast
yeah, Joe Rodon.
Yeah. Lo Celso and Reguilon.
Yep. Yeah.
So that is a pretty strong bench, I must admit. Boothie, as an Arsenal fan, can you see Spurs getting 3 points tonight, or you think there might be a bump in the road coming with Sean Dyche's Burnley?
I think that it's going to be a very tight game, if I'm being honest. Burnley aren't no mugs, you know what I mean? Especially at home as well. When you got Barnes and Wood up front, them two can cause absolute problems for you. Them long balls and direct play, it's an issue. So I feel like Spurs may come undone today, but after their performance in Europe the other day, they might nick it, but I'm praying for at least a burning point, at least minimum tonight.
Yeah. Well, I'll just watch. I've got the game on here, so if I go quiet, and that's probably what I'm looking at. They just had a breakaway with Lucas Moura, but he fluffed the cross and it's gone straight into the hands of the goalkeeper. He'll be off. He'll be off, I think, as soon as the game hits about 50 minutes. And Gareth Bale, gets his eye in. So yeah, let's go. Let's do a quick round of predictions while the game is still 0-0. Only 6 minutes into the game on my watch at the moment. I'll take a prediction first from Boothie for this game.
I'm saying Burnley 1, Tottenham 1. I'm even going to say as well, Son and Barnes as the goal scorers tonight. That's what I'm going.
He's gone. He's thrown it all out there. All the goal scorers. Yeah. And then Greg.
I think we'll win it. I don't think we'll get a clean sheet. I'm thinking it'll be like a 2-1. I think we'll go 2 up and then we'll concede 1 late.
Okay. And I'm going to go pretty much down the middle there and go for a 1-0 Spurs victory. And I think it will be Gareth Bale off the bench, gets his first goal of his return.
You're a dreamer.
Hits
You're an
all the
absolute
headlines,
dreamer.
all the headlines on the Daily Mail.
I will say I'll be fuming if that happens though, because this is the only Spurs game I've not watched this season because of this show.
Well,
if Gareth Bale scores tonight, I'm coming for you, Dan.
We're aiming to finish this show at 9:00, so you should get a full second half worth of Spurs heartbreak to watch tonight. So let's talk then about someone whose heart has actually literally been broken, I think, in the last couple of weeks by Jose Mourinho. Actually, we'll talk about him first. So Dele Alli, what's happening with him?
You know what? It's a funny one because I think that he's always been a little bit of a sweetheart with Spurs fans, when he was banging in goals and playing brilliantly a couple of seasons ago. But it's really interesting to see the dynamics shift because Spurs fans now are sort of, you'd expect them to be torn of he should stay or he should go. But there's a little bit of an element of, he's a great player, but he needs to go. Do you know what I mean? There's a sort of all-round of, we all appreciate how brilliant he is, but we all know that he maybe needs a change in his career. I think that Jose, I mean, you and I were talking about it earlier, Dan. Jose goes into teams, and I think with players like Ndombele, we've seen it this year, and Harry Kane through the documentary, we saw that meeting with them. He basically goes to these big players like sink or swim. Under me, you need to sink or swim. And I think Ndombele, as we've seen in the last couple of weeks, has done incredibly well. Kane has thrived under him, Son as well. And I just think Ali he's not got that in him. I don't think he's there. And, that it's a stacked midfield we've got, and they're all playing brilliantly. And Ali's just not featuring. He's not even getting in the bench, tonight even. I think that he needs to move away now. There's the Dele Alli from a couple of seasons ago is gone now. He really plays when he wants to play, but Jose's not putting up with it. And why would you when you've got such a talented squad playing every week and playing their hearts out?
Boothie, if you're a footballer, is there a worse tag that you can kind of get to your name than being lazy? Especially in the modern game.
Yeah, I think now the way football has moved, where the midfielders have to be dynamic, athletic, box to box, and when you're being labelled as lazy, it doesn't really help your image. You know what I mean? You got players like Jordan Henderson, Ronaldo at Liverpool shining because they are up and down the whole game, and you can't really hold or carry the luxury players anymore, like the lazy players like Ali or Ozil, for example, because the game has now evolved past that. So unless he decides to change his game, the way he plays, he's gonna destroy his career, I think, if I'm being honest.
I think also, sorry, I'll let us introduce John in a second. Just jumping on the back of that, I think as well, because Kane is playing such a dynamic role of not just getting the goals, but he's playing deep. He's playing that combined number 9 and number 10.
Yeah.
Ali doesn't really fit in. You don't need him at that point, especially if he's going to have one game brilliant and then take 3 or 4 games off.
Yeah. Let's quickly introduce John. John, we're talking about Dele Alli at the moment, and
I've been watching along.
The situation, with him, and we're saying is lazy one of the worst characteristics that can kind of get put on your name in this high pressing, counter attacking style of play that we have in modern football, and particularly in the Premier League. The lad's 24 years old. I mean, he's presumably got 5 years at the top of his game at least. Ahead of him. Is this just a kind of a stumbling block, or is this a significant kind of is he basically stepping down from that level of elite player to now just like you're going to be a squad player somewhere for the rest of your career? What's your thoughts on it though, John?
It's a Tottenham player, but I'll try and be as nice as I can. No, you know what? It seems an age ago when he scored that goal for England, and everyone was it was long range. I can't remember who England.
I think
were
it was
playing.
against Germany. I think it was Germany at Wembley.
Yeah, and I think you're right. It is definitely one of the most. It's just not a nice tag to have. You look at Mesut Ozil, he's had that tag for a while. You know, of being lazy. I just think you're right. In this modern game,
It was against France, by the way.
It was against France.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's still good, man. It's you know, he stepped up and announced himself on the world stage, and yeah, and he's had a couple good seasons. I just think I think it comes down to systems now. I think I was having a chat to Gerardinho about it, and he thinks a lot of players, you know, just don't fit the system. They're not bad players. They could go somewhere else. Like, I mean, if he wanted to stay in London, I think he can go to West Ham and do a great job, you know, fit their system. But I just think different players, different systems, managers come in, and if you don't fit into the system, like what Greg said, you know, and the managers are just not gonna, you know, play you just on your history. You know, those managers have gone. Like, you know, the Arsene Wengers of this world would just play Ozil just because I know he can, and based on a reputation.
Yeah.
Whereas now, the modern day managers like, nah, if you're not proving it week in, week out, and you don't fit the system, well, I'm not going to make space for you. And I think Ali's in that situation.
So yeah, maybe the managers don't just believe in players anymore. They need to literally, you know, facts and stats on the sheets and in the analytics. Yeah, that's it's a fair take. Coming on from that, then our other point we were going to cover on Spurs is can Spurs win the league? Now, 50% Arsenal podcast here today. Greg, are you feeling optimistic at this point? I mean, you've got the top, whatever it is, 8, 9 of the Premier League. The only kind of typical top 6 team in there is Liverpool at the moment. Very, very early days. But yeah, a Spurs in a position where it's anyone's title to win at the moment.
Right, look, I have a real issue with how Spurs are spoken about a lot of the time, because we've just come off of... No, okay, right, okay, I'm making this point, but it's got a little bit of a bribe to sweeten the Arsenal lads in there as well, so hang tight, all right, hang with me. We drew against West Ham. We shouldn't have conceded those goals, and, you know, to go 3-0 up and then draw 3-3. You analyse those goals, that last goal, you can't tell me any Premier League goalkeeper is doing anything about that. The play before it, Harry Winks could have done better and closed down and all of that. But you can't tell me that any goalkeeper in the Premier League saving that shot. And you also can't write Tottenham off of winning the Premier League, but still have Man City in that conversation at this point in the league when we're on the same games won and same points tally. It's just, I mean, obviously they've won it before and we haven't. You can talk all about that, but if this season has proven anything, it is anyone's game. So I have a real issue when Spurs are written off. Also, I don't think you can write Arsenal off at this point. If you're writing Tottenham off, like, I don't think that it's fair, because Arsenal, up until last night, have beaten the teams that you'd expect them to beat and lost to the teams that you expect them to lose to. So I think to limit it to just a Liverpool or an Everton or City might get it back, you know, I don't think you can write any team off. So I have such an issue with it. I'm hoping the Arsenal boys will go easier on me now that I've thrown that in.
Yeah, I guess I would say hold fire a little bit on the Arsenal response from Boothie and John here, because we got a section on Arsenal coming up. But yeah, I think is there I mean, I definitely think it is interesting that people do consider just Liverpool and City as the only two capable of winning the Premier League, or at least for the first sort of 3 or 4 games this season, it was that. So, yeah, do you think that as a narrative in itself, and especially with the Van Dijk injury coming in and you know, City seeming to be unable to put together their best 11 every week as well, do you think it is an open race this year for the Premier League?
100%. I think, speaking from a Spurs perspective, we've got a run of games, I think about 4 or 5 games before we hit Man City away, that we should be winning. We should be getting all those points. And if we're capable of it and we can, you know, we're only 5 points off the top at the moment. So I don't think it's fair to write them off completely. I mean, it's just my take.
Yeah, I mean, I as a I mean, I might as well be a neutral this year in the Premier League with Fulham's performances. But I think Spurs are a dark horse in that title race. And I mean, yeah, maybe Greg, that's an insult for me to say they're a dark horse. They should just be a horse in the race. But I do think Spurs have got a genuine chance this year to push for that title. It's just going to be consistency from whichever team is the most consistent. Gets to Christmas, the famous get to Christmas in a good position and then go from there. But yeah, hopefully we're not jinxing it as Burnley take a free kick here, throw it into the box.
Oh, we're all for free kicks.
It's all right. Sonny's chased it down.
That is my only thing. We've done a brilliant transfer. We had a brilliant transfer window. I mean, 10 out of 10, I would say. It's just the defence that needs work. I mean, I don't know what training's going on. I'm glad to see Dyer back because he is a man that he does put himself on the line. He's got a mistake in him. But Sanchez and Alderweireld's been injured in this game. I'm seeing from a flying elbow.
Yeah, cut his eye, a bit like Højbjerg the other day.
Yeah, but I need to be seeing like a Skriniar coming in January, or someone, or Roden playing brilliantly, maybe breaking into that first team because defensive. We recorded our first clean sheet on Thursday.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. I'm not going to disagree with anything there. I just think the way how this season is, that's why I was heavily backing Everton. I was heavily backing Everton because I just thought, do you know what? They look consistent, and Ancelotti's no slouch. And like Dan said, it's the team that's going to be the most consistent. Everyone's losing, people are drawing. I was quietly confident about Arsenal, but yeah, I was kind of looking at Spurs thinking, again, they've got Mourinho. Like Craig said, I just think defensively, and I just think if Kane and Son have a bad day, I'm not sure. I mean, Bale, jury's still out, right? But I'm not sure if there's got like a midfielder that can like turn the game on its head. Like, I'm not sure about Winks and Dombele. I think Højbjerg will, he'll be a stopper, he'll be a destroyer, but that might make it 0-0. I'm not sure that if the thing is, they are on form at the moment, aren't they? Kane, and Son, they are on form. But if there comes a game where it's just not working, and sometimes you just need that from somewhere else, I'm just not sure where else it's going to come from. I mean, that's my only worry about Spurs. And same for Arsenal as well. You look at Arsenal's midfield. I know you're going to cover it later. It's the same. If the front three are not on song, where the goal's going to come from? I just think maybe City and Liverpool still got a little bit more, even though they're showing consistencies as well.
1-0.
A little bit more.
Offside?
1-0 to who?
Well, offside, I think. It's probably going to go to VAR though. But Barnes put the ball in the net.
What did I say? Let's start the podcast. I said Ashley Barnes will score.
Oh, he's about 2 meters offside. So
never mind.
Daylight.
That's there's a lot of daylight in that one. That doesn't really even need to go to VAR. All right, let's talk then about Arsenal. We got a question.
I don't mind.
We can speed through this if you want. We can speed.
I'm over, Dan.
So
you do what you want.
We've got the question: is Arteta-ball working right now for Arsenal? Who wants to step up and speak first?
Not me.
John, the floor is yours. John, the floor is yours. John, the floor is yours.
I mean, that graphic who put that graphic up, was that Greg?
It was, yeah.
Of the stats.
I'll see if I can get it for the stream.
I mean, it doesn't make good reading. What I will say is, as a whole, I know the results are are comparable, pretty much near enough the same, right? It's got a lower win percentage.
Yeah.
Than Mr. Good Evening. But I just think that I think that we are playing better. I would say that's the only thing. Like, there's stats, and then there's the bigger picture, and the bigger picture is Arsenal are actually playing better under him. There's less problems. Before we had Ozil throwing his gloves, and and people in and out of the team, defense changing all the time. We had a decent transfer window. We still got the Ozil situation, I think he should be in the team personally, or he should be in the Premier League squad, especially a game like last night. 10 minutes to go, you're looking for somebody to break down the low block, which Leicester were playing quite well. They had a low block, and they were just waiting for a counter attack, and Arsenal just walked into their hands at that high line. It needed somebody to like play something through a gap, and Arsenal didn't have that. And like I just said earlier, that who is that midfield that's going to do that? Is it Granit Xhaka? Thomas Partey looks like he's hustle and bustle, but he looks like he passes the ball sideways more than anything else. At the moment, it's still early days, but he doesn't. At the moment, he's not showing that he's got that penetrative pass or that ability to quickly speed it up in the final third, to just like get a 1-2 and then you're in. And I think Ozil does. He's got that quick speed of thought where players are like knocking it round a corner and stuff. A little bit like Tielemans yesterday.
Yeah, that was a brilliant pass.
Yeah, that wasn't the first time he'd done that. He'd done that throughout the whole game.
Yeah,
just because Vardy went on. So he was playing it to Maddison or he was playing it to Harvey Barnes. As soon as Vardy come on, I looked at my phone and I was like, should I just put a bet on Vardy to score and then to win 1-0? And I was like, no, come on. Lacazette's going to get one. And it happened because his record against Arsenal, he's got a Rooney record against Arsenal. He loves it. And I just think Arsenal is looking stale. And I can't see anyone on Ozil's level of creativity. So it's like, me, I'd rather see us sacrifice it. We got Partey in there, you got Xhaka in there. They're the ones that are gonna, you expect them to track back and show the balance. Where's Ozil? Get Ozil in there so that we can get the creativity. Because Aubameyang, since he signed a contract, I don't know about you, but since he signed that contract, he's gone all Adebayor on us. So it's just it's not looking good.
God damn it.
Yeah, Boothie, comments on what John had to say there?
You know what, yeah. I feel like the football under Arteta compared to Emery is like night and day. Under Emery, it was defensive. There was no game plan. It was just very, let's try and not lose the game before we try and win the game. While with Arteta, I feel like he's very unlucky sometimes because when we're on top, we don't capitalize. Like last night, the first 10 minutes, we looked good. We should have had a goal.
And that was a goal as well.
It should have stood. Simple as that. Xhaka wasn't impeding Schmeichel. He did touch the ball. So it should have been 1-0. But after the opportunity, we didn't push on. And when we were on top, we didn't dominate the game. And we just let Leicester just block it out. And then second half, do what they do best, bring on Vardy and kill us. But I feel like people are stressing for no reason. I feel like we need to trust Arteta and what he's doing. Because you can see there's progress from where we were last year to where we are this year. We were conceding about 20 shots on goal a game? And I'm not even exaggerating against the likes of Southampton and Wolves and stuff. Arteta has now brought that back. He's sorted the back four now, which I'm happy with, barring Luiz's injury now. I'm kind of worried about who's going to fit in there now. But he's sorted the back four. The midfield started to take shape. It's just he doesn't have a settled front three. But I feel like he's sorted out now because every week he's chopping it with Nketiah, Pepe, Aubameyang, Lacazette, Saka. He needs to just get the front three and say, look, you three are my three guys to get me the goals. And if not, after 50 minutes, I'm going to take you off and bring someone else on. So I feel like people just need to calm down. You know what I mean? It's October. You know what I mean? It's 6 games gone? There's still, another 32 games to go? It's still there. The league's still there for us.
Yeah. So you can see on the YouTube feed at the moment, we've got that graphic of Emery versus Arteta. Like you mentioned there, the main thing is that he shored up the defence. So 37 goals conceded after the same amount of games for Emery, whereas 28 for Arteta, which makes a huge difference. Less goals scored, but obviously...
it's a trade-off, isn't it?
Yeah. Slightly less wins, same amount of draws, 2 more losses. Less shots and slightly less possession, but those stats don't really reflect the situation. And like you say, you've had, or Greg mentioned at the start of the show, apart from the result yesterday, Arsenal have been pretty consistent and kind of won the games they should, and maybe been challenged in the ones that they weren't expected to win. So. Yeah, I don't think you're in too bad of a position, but The Aubameyang thing is certainly
I'm concerned.
concerning. Yeah, concerning would be
concerned.
the main adjective there. Greg, do you think Aubameyang's still in it, or is his heart with Gunnosaurus?
I don't know. I mean, I don't think I'm the most qualified to talk about this because I literally don't watch anything to do with Arsenal. Why would I?
That is poor.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Very
Is it?
salty.
I definitely, I sympathise with it because he is one of these players. I mean, I'm not, having a laugh with this, but that was the big news of the summer at one point. Him signing that contract. It was our announcing the Skywalk. For a while, wasn't it? And it's just not performing. It's difficult. I don't know what you can do about it, really. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, at one point, about just before the international break, if we were having a debate on this show about Aubameyang versus Kane, I'd be really, really blowing that trumpet.
Greg is loving this. Sorry, John. Greg is loving this. Look at his face.
I know. I can't believe I'm saying it. But look, listen, form is temporary. I still think Aubameyang's a better player. I just think at the moment he's just not showing it. And it is that contract situation. That happens a lot. That does happen a lot. That's why I said Adebayor. Adebayor was the classic. He'd be on the last year of his contract. He'd be playing like a superstar, like got Real Madrid sniffing around, sign his contract, and then he just turns into Bambi on ice. And I don't know. I just think he needs that spark. Like Aubameyang, I mean, Arteta needs to pull him aside and have a word and say, "You're the talisman. Like you're the captain. You can't just be on the periphery of games, week in, week out. Like And I don't know what's happened. He used to kind of, and also as well, yesterday Arteta. I do think Arteta is making a few odd decisions. Like yesterday, he played him on the right. I mean, the first 2-3 games he's played, even in the cup and the Community Shield, he's played on the left. He's cut inside. He's done his Henri Thierry Henry thing, and that seemed to be working. Is it a situation where teams have sussed it out? No, I don't think so. I just think the way our defences are at the moment, I think we could still ride with that. I'm not sure why Arteta is now playing him on the right and playing Saka on the left. I just think that's just the wrong move. I think Aubameyang needs to get back out on the left, cut inside, and just do his business.
Yeah, he's lethal on that left-hand side. Just thinking back to that goal that he scored against Fulham, the goal he scored against. Did he score a goal in the Charity Shield or the
Liverpool as well? Yeah,
Liverpool. That is his trademark goal, and yeah, if you're not allowing kind of a player to play to their best strengths, then yeah, that is odd. It is very odd. I mean, that could be Arteta having kind of a lot of belief in Aubameyang, and that he thinks he's good enough to kind of play wherever, and accommodate, make space for other players to play in their strong positions. But I don't know. Like, I think if you've got a player of that outstanding talent, you got to be prioritising him. You don't see Spurs playing Harry Kane at centre back to fill in for someone else.
He'll do a job there.
He did all right. Yeah. What's that? He did all right, to be fair. Play him everywhere.
But yeah, so yeah, we'll see where that goes. Let's go on to our next topic, which is on Man City. They got a draw at the weekend, 1-1 against West Ham. West Ham have been pretty good this year. They've got a point against City. They obviously took 3 points, I think, away to Leicester earlier on in the season.
Yeah.
Obviously got a draw against Spurs last weekend as well. But yeah, back to City. Is Pep Guardiola no longer the man? Is he, his tactics, his style of football, has football moved on from his style of football now?
No, I disagree. I think he's been unlucky. I think he hasn't had Jesus. Jesus is in and out of the team with injuries. Aguero, like and they tried to bring in. I mean, Roy Delap. And Roy Delap's son is playing for them. Like, he's an absolute beast. But he's not ready. He's undercooked. I just think,
food poisoning.
He's not ready. So it's kind of like, I kind of feel for them a little bit. Like, I just think they haven't replaced Company like properly, and it's a massive player. I mean, proper massive player. I don't think so. I think he's been a little bit unlucky with injuries, and I think maybe their transfer window wasn't the best in terms of what they needed. I mean, they got Ruben Diaz and they did need a centre back. Maybe they could have gone for more like Upamecano or someone, a bit more proven that give everyone a lift. But they should have got a striker. They should have thought Aguero's. It's happened every season now. He's out for 2 or 3 months. They should have kind of factored that in, and they should have really gone out there and tried to get a striker, tried to get someone in. Really, that's what I think. I think he's been a little bit unlucky.
Yeah. Who do they go for? I mean, there's rumours that Dortmund have a 75 million euro release clause on Erling Haaland for the summer of 2022. Now, could they stretch out with Aguero and Jesus until then? Obviously, Haaland's dad was a fair kind of Man City. I wouldn't maybe say a Man City legend, but certainly a good player for Man City in his day. Could that be a transfer kind of on the horizon that would work pretty well? Or do you think Haaland is not really a Pep Guardiola player? Boothie, I'm throwing that to you.
To me, I don't think Haaland's Pep kind of guy. Pep likes some short, small strikers, barring Lewandowski at Bayern. But John's right. He does need to replace and get a striker in because, like I said, Aguero's out 2 to 3 months. All right, cool. He'll score about 20, 25 goals in the season. But he'll do it either at the start or at the end of the season. Never in the middle where you need that consistent form. I don't really rate Jesus, if I'm being honest, like that. I don't think he's that great. I think if you put him in like an Everton side or like a West Ham side, he wouldn't get more than 15 goals in the league. And that's not going to cut it if you're trying to win the championship. So I think he definitely needs to go out and get a big name striker. I don't know who, but he's got to do that. But I don't think Haaland will fit that style of play. Haaland's a machine. You know what I mean? He runs hard, he tackles hard, and he shoots hard. But I don't think he has that quality yet of taking the ball. Yeah, you know what I mean? The final, like, je ne sais quoi, as you say. I don't think he has that yet on the technical side yet. So, yeah, they got to find someone, I think. Aguero won't last another season, I think, at City, if I'm being brutally honest.
Yeah. Greg, what's your thoughts on City?
I just have such an issue with us feeling sorry for a team and a manager that have billions into a transfer windows. I mean, I think the problems are deeper than that because they can go out and buy, but we're looking at Pep's team here, really, not the team that he inherited, but the team that he's built, and things just aren't working. I mean, as John said, he's not replaced Company effectively. Aguero's out, and Jesus. I mean, I rate him as a goalkeeper, but as a striker, sorry, not as a goalkeeper.
Clip that. Clip of the
week. He's not an Aguero. He's not threatening, is he? When you come up against him, if you're a defender and think, "Fuck, I've got Aguero this weekend," you'd probably not think about Jesus. And I think that with Pep, what's happened this year with his mother and the situation around that, and losing Arteta, I think Arteta was a huge man motivator in the back room there. I think Pep's lost it a little bit, and I don't know what. I don't see Pep finishing the season with Man City. I'm going to stick my neck out and say it.
Oh, big call.
Big statement.
That's a big call.
I mean, that.
On TalkSport, there's a lot of fans calling in, saying, "Get him out. Get him out. We want Arteta. We want Arteta as number one. Get him out." And I'm like, are you crazy?
I don't know. I just think he's. I think from external factors of this year, which no one could predict and no one could imagine how to deal with that, I think that he's lost a bit of that spark, and I don't know. I don't see that really. I mean, last week I was predicting them to win the Champions League. I think he could absolutely plough everything into that. With that still yet to see, of course, but I don't know. I don't know with it. I don't know.
I think they're on shaky ground. If I think their version, if De Bruyne was to get a season-ending injury, would be very much. They're done. It's a similar situation to with Van Dijk at Liverpool. But yeah, whether they'll spend in January, I'm not sure. And yet, like you say, how hard they go for the Champions League, we're yet to see as well. The final question, or the actual question here on the graphic, is: are Man City still a top 2 side? I guess we'll get a yes or a no from everyone here, whether you think they're going to finish in the top 2 this year. I'll go for Johnny Mills first.
I was nodding my head, but the way how the league's going, I'm going to go no. I'm going to think they'll finish 3rd.
Greg?
I think they've got as much chance finishing outside of the top 2 as anyone does finishing in that top 2, if that makes sense. I think that it is just so open.
Mind blowing. Wait, what was that? Like, say it again.
Mental gymnastics there. Yeah. So I think that they've got as much chance as anyone has, really, but they've also got as much chance of dropping out of that as anyone has getting into it.
50-50.
Yeah.
Basically on the fence.
Basically, they're finishing 2.5 in the league.
Yeah.
All right, Boothie?
I'm going to agree with Mills and say 3rd for City. I don't know who's going to be top 2. I have no idea, but I don't think we see it this year.
Okay. And I don't think they're going to finish. I'd love to say they would, just to balance it out, but yeah, my instinct is that they're not going to finish top 2 this year. But they may still get silverware elsewhere. But we'll park that there.
The League Cup.
Yeah. So next up, let's talk quickly about the Man United Chelsea game, which was one of the bigger kind of or more anticipated fixtures of the weekend, played out to a 0-0 draw. Now, last week on the show, there was pretty much a kind of across-the-board consensus laying into Chelsea's defensive capabilities. I thought this was a game where both teams defended very well. It was kind of an exhibition of defence, and namely kind of Thiago Silva was pretty impressive, and that man in goal, Edouard Mendy, had a particularly good game. Greg, what were your thoughts on this game? Do you think that Man United should be picking up 3 points at home against Chelsea, with Chelsea kind of in the situation that they are at the moment? Questions around Lampard, etc.
I don't know, man. From both of these teams, it's interesting. It was essentially like a real 6-pointer, this game, for both managers, for both teams in the league, in every sense. And it's just such a boring game. I think Chelsea, they're ruining football. They actually are. They ruined 200+ million and celebrating a clean sheet against Manchester United. It's actually killing the fucking sport.
Was that was at box office, was it?
I think it. No, I think it was a Sky game. I think.
Yeah.
Because Liverpool was box office that night. I think.
If it was.
I don't know. I don't rate Frank Lampard particularly. I don't rate.
He looked like one of the wet bandits, didn't he, that night with his little beanie hat on.
Beanie hat.
That game was so sod's law in football. That game,
it wasn't box office.
Just typifies football, the Premier League, because there is probably, I'm sure there's people out there that got a few quid off that 0-0. But I reckon if you'd have gone up and down every review sports show, whether it's like Arsenal Fan TV or Football Focus or whatever, right? I don't think anyone was saying 0-0, right?
Yeah.
And it was just one of those typical games. It's like, West Brom, shipping goals, and then they turn up to City and win 3-0. This is football. It's just the Premier League. Like that, you could just see that happening, and no one would ever predict it. Because we did the rounds, we asked around, and none of us predicted it. We were all like 2-2, 3-2, thinking there's definitely going to be goals because neither of these teams can defend, and they just played out a drab 0-0. Like it just, we didn't see that one coming.
Glimpses of hope for Man United. Cavani came on. His very first touch was sort of near post flick on that almost went straight in. I think personally that he's going to drop quite nicely into that team. Hopefully, like to see him start the next Premier League game. Boothie, thoughts on Cavani and whether he can be a success at Man United?
I don't rate Cavani. If I'm being honest, he reminds me of basically like another Falcao signing where he signed for United. He's past his best. It's a panic buy. You know what I mean? If they wanted Cavani, they would have got him at the start of the summer or at the start of the window. But they got him in the last couple of days. So I don't think he'll be a success. If I'm being honest, he's not clinical. He's not quick. He's average in the air. I just don't think he will get many goals. He's got about 15 goals or comps, I think. But I think if you get either Rashford or Martial firing, or even Greenwood, he won't start in that start 11. There's no way. I don't think so.
Yeah, Greg.
Yeah, I completely agree with Boothie on all of that. Really, I think that he can be a good player. He's a good player still, but I think it reeks of desperation from United. I mean, they could have got him at the very beginning if they wanted him, but he was a panic buy. It was to keep the fans happy. The Glazers, they look at all the social media and stuff around that. They couldn't get Sancho, and they knew that if they didn't get anyone, they'd be people calling for their head. So they had to get him as a little bit of a crowd pleaser. I think he will be useful for them, but yeah, it reeks of desperation, that signing, for sure.
Yeah. I think, Cavani was at the top of his game 10 years ago, really.
Yeah,
when he was that trio at Napoli of Lavezzi, Hamsik, and him. Obviously,
absolute fire.
That was dirty. That team,
it was
dirty team.
And he's had a brilliant. He had a very good time. Yeah, but he had a very good time in Paris with PSG, and I still think I'd like to think that he's still got a bit of class in there. I think Tom mentioned
He'll get goals.
Yeah,
get some goals.
Yeah,
sure.
But yeah, whether we're not expecting him to be a 30 goal man for that team. I think 15 in all comps. I think that would be a pretty happy return for Man United. I would expect, especially with the likes of Greenwood.
You know what I predict? You know what I see in my crystal ball?
Here's another one. Let's go.
What I see is he is going to be, because we know how Ollie can go on these streaks of bad games, and then just at the point where you think this will be the one to get him sacked, he pulls it out of the bag. Cavani is going to be fucking dynamite for those moments. I feel like he's going to be. Ollie's going to be on
style Anfield hat trick for
right. Yeah, he'll bring him on in the 50th minute, and he'll get a goal, and Ollie will go, "What were you worried about?" But it will save his bollocks. I guarantee it. I'm certain.
Yeah. If he loses this game now, he's definitely dead. Cavani comes on, scores a bicycle kick, lands on his feet, and says, "What were you worried about?"
Right.
But yeah, okay. Well, Chelsea then. Thiago Silva. We also, I must mention that last week we moaned about the fact that, I can't remember. I'm not going to point fingers here, but someone said
Levi.
someone said that they conceded a lot of goals, and that Thiago Silva was past it clearly because they conceded 3 goals to, was it Brighton who scored 3? Southampton. And one of the listeners of the show kindly pointed out to me that actually Thiago Silva didn't even play in that game. Which I think I would imagine he was recovering because he'd played 160 minutes or so for Brazil in South America like a couple of days prior. So, yeah.
That's the analysis you get on BTF.
But he comes back in and helps kind of secure a clean sheet against United. Is Thiago Silva, at least for a season, is he still one of the better defenders in the world? Is he a top 15 player defender in the world? Boothie?
I don't think he's even the best centre back at Chelsea.
Who would you go with? Zuma.
Oh, bro, they're all arse, if I'm being honest with you.
Christensen.
God, Jesus. I think out of the Chelsea lot, it's Zuma.
Yeah.
It's quicker. I think it's better in the air. But obviously, Thiago has the experience over him at international level and at club level. He's won countless things. I can't put too much shade on his name. But when it comes to the Premier League, I don't think he's got time to even adjust to the pace, the power of the game, because he's 36, 37 now?
Yeah.
There's no way he's going to last another 32 games playing week in, week out like against United. It might be that one good game he has, and then the next couple games he shit, if I'm being honest with you. So I don't think, like I said, the top defender at Chelsea, I don't think he's that, let alone top 15 in the world.
Yeah, no, I agree. I also think, I don't know if any of you lot saw the debate between Hasselbank and Patrice
No.
Evra.
Oh, right, okay.
It got feisty.
Yeah,
It got feisty.
It got very feisty. But Evra made some good points. And he basically said Man United played scared and Chelsea played scared. So I don't think he got that real test. I think if he's going to play against, say, a Wolves or like a West Ham or someone like that who's really going to go for it, who's really a Leicester, is really going to be tossing them balls in behind, and they've got players from midfield or pacey strikers. I think he's going to get found out. He's going to get found out really, really quickly. I think in that game, I just think it just suited him. Like United didn't really go for it until Cavani came on. Chelsea didn't really, come out of their block and out of their shape. They didn't really go for it either, and it just kind of, it was a bit of a standoff. But I think if they play like, especially teams what are considered the mid-table to lower table teams, I think he's going to be making mistakes left, right, and centre, in my opinion.
0-0 in the Spurs game at half time there. Yeah, I think the only other point to quickly make with the actual game itself was, and I don't really want to spend too much time on it because we could do it the same thing every week, but the Harry Maguire kind of chokehold that he had on Azpilicueta that was not even given. You didn't give anything for it. I'm not even sure if VAR reviewed it. I'm guessing VAR must have reviewed it.
I don't think it did.
I don't think they
but
no.
That was probably stand
Well,
out.
Give him a break.
Stand out moment.
Leave it. He's had enough. He's had enough.
Yeah, I think
He's already dead.
Yeah, literally. But yeah, I mean, had that been given as a penalty, and then perhaps Chelsea take a 1-0 lead, completely changes the game. And I think maybe stonewall penalties like that should be given anyway, but that's definitely a VAR decision that you want to see given to just open up a game like that. And yeah, shocking that it wasn't even considered for a penalty. So we'll leave that there. Quickly talk about Donny van der Beek or Van der Beek. What's happening with him? Why is he not playing? If you're a player like that, young talent, played in Champions League semi-finals,
Europa League final.
Clearly kind of one of the stronger talents of your generation. You go to Manchester, the red side of Manchester, and you're sitting on the bench. That can't be good for your career, surely.
They don't need him.
Yeah.
That's the problem. They don't need him. They've already got a number 10 in, his name just jumped out of my head. Bruno.
Yeah.
And then they're not going to not play Pogba if he's fit. So that's why, unless they play him out of position, but that's his position, like arriving at the end of the edge of the box. He's a box-to-box midfielder, right? Van der Beek. So, and that's what Fernandes is doing. He's arriving at the edge of the box. Picking up pieces. Trying to let shots off. That's. I mean, it might be a thing where they try and play him in the cups, use him as a rotation player, but he's better than that. But it's just they didn't need him. It's just poor transfer business by United. Poor.
Yeah. Greg, agree?
Yeah, definitely. I was just thinking, do you reckon he got like the wrong team? He saw Liverpool doing well and thought, the team with the red kit, them. And then saw Manchester, and he was like, Man City, Pep, brilliant, I'm going there. He's just sitting on the bench like, where the fuck am I? I feel so bad for him. He's such a talented player, and he's just sitting watching Ole on the side going, hold my hand up, doing all of that.
Yeah. I mean, is he a victim of the standard of the Premier League? Like, Boothie, realistically, what sort of level in the Premier League would Van der Beek actually start for a team? Would he start at Leicester? Would he start at West Ham?
He'll start at Arsenal.
Yeah.
Mate, get him in next week for us. Are you crazy?
Yeah.
Look, this guy was linked with Real Madrid. I don't know if it was last summer or the summer before. Like, if you're getting linked heavily as well, Real Madrid, you're not a shit player. You know what I mean? I feel like Oli got excited with the checkbook and just I'll just take him, and maybe.
Well, I think it was an Edwin van der Sar sort of special delivery in the end.
Yeah, gave him a ring, didn't they?
This is the issue though. Like I hate when former players who are like up in the boardroom of other teams recommending other players, because you feel like, oh, he's a club legend, so I should take a recommendation. When really, like, what your team needs. Like, Man United didn't need another number 10. They needed a centre half. They needed a striker. You know what I mean? They did not need a Van der Beek. And he is just... I feel sorry for the kid, man. Like, you look at pictures of him on the bench. He looks depressed.
Yeah.
He looks depressed on the bench, bro. You know what I mean? And the kid's got talent. He should be playing week in, week out.
You're turning him into a League Cup player.
Come on, man. Joe Willock is a League Cup player.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Yeah. Gareth Bale is a League Cup player. You know
Whoa.
Van der Beek should be playing Champions League football every week and in the league week in, week out. End the conversation.
I'm happy to leave it there.
I agree. For the sake of time, I'll just leave it. I agree.
Yeah, let it slide. Let it slide. Our final point on the show today, slightly more serious point or slightly off topic, but it's clubs and their responses to COVID-19. In particular, how they treat staff during this time. So we had the Arsenal's kind of redundancies of several players. I think Ozil's agent came out today and said, would you expect any more class from a team that made 50 backroom staff redundant after winning the FA Cup and sacked off their club mascot after 27 years. It's been on the top post on our Soccer Today on Reddit, which is, I think at the moment stands kind of unverified, but it's a post from a member of staff, from a casual member of staff that works for Liverpool, saying that they just want to kind of bring to light the fact that there are quite a few members of staff that work for Liverpool in some capacity that are relying on charities at the moment to provide them with food, or relying on this in-house charity that they've kind of formed with other workers, where people have been put down onto kind of 0-hour contracts as such, and then they're getting no hours, but it means that the club doesn't have to pay them, and they don't go onto a furlough scheme. But there seems to be this narrative going through. Spurs are another club there that have kind of had issues with how they treated staff. The question here is, multi-million pound Premier League teams, should any of these conversations be happening? Should they be looking after their staffs, or is it right for them? And I really hope the answer is no here from you guys, but is it right for them to kind of act as though they're these, businesses kind of running on the red line as such, and that a £28,000 salary for someone over a year is worth cutting when you're spending, say, 45 million on Thomas Partey or whatever they're paying Thiago a week at Liverpool? Should Premier League clubs be acting, differently, bearing in mind the money that they make? And I don't want to throw anyone under the bus here, but I'll come to Johnny Mills first here on this one.
Yeah, no, I think it's out of order. I really do. Look, I'm only from the outside looking in, right? We all are. Right? None of us work at football clubs. We don't know the budgets and the bottom lines, but clearly it's odd. They're paying these players wages. None of the players are coming out and saying, "Oh, I ain't paying them my wages." Especially Premier League clubs, they're saying I ain't getting my wages. I think also as well, I think it's also unfair. I have heard from some corners that players should be doing more. I think that's unfair as well. But it's not the players' responsibility. The club, have budgeted to have for all their staff. So the clubs need to do more. I get it. Revenue of stadium, of gates, of the gate is lost. I'm not sure how much, say, an Arsenal is losing a week or every other week by not having a home game. But I'm sure it's probably upwards of 50, 60 million, maybe a week. They're missing out on. So I don't want to feel sorry for them for that, because I'm sure they've got lots and lots of money. But like you say, like you're talking about 10, 15, 20 staff on 10 to 30 grand a year, and they're putting them, they're getting rid of them and then making these 45 million transfers in the case of Arsenal and Partey. It just does not make any sense. Like, I don't understand that how that's going to have a massive effect on the bottom line. Surely us going, all right, we cannot afford to buy Partey because of COVID makes more sense than we're going to sack these people who probably don't even, their wages don't amount to what Partey's getting in a month.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, it just doesn't make any sense.
Boothie, do you agree?
I do. Like, I feel like from a business point of view, you understand why they're making these redundancies, because obviously, for example, like hospitality staff on the match day, if no one's buying the burgers, what's the point of having someone selling the burgers? You know what I mean? But on a humane level, like for some people, this is their careers or their job, or like for a student, for example, their weekend job. So they rely on this income. So I feel like the club themselves, the owners need to step up during this time. Like, they're the only people who aren't suffering as much as your tea lady or your kit man or those kind of people. You know what I mean? It's hard though, because at the end of the day, it's not our money. You know what I mean? So it's easy for us to say, oh, they should do more and all that kind of stuff, because it's not ours. As a human, it's the right thing to do. But if it was our money, would we actually say, don't worry, you're not working, here's 30, 40 grand a year to 55 people? So it's a bit of a touchy subject, but I feel like they should be doing a bit more rather than relying on government help or making people redundant. You know what I mean?
Greg?
You know what? All of this chat, and rightfully so, it's making me hate the sport, because each week it feels like we're having to cover a European Premier League, the redundancies, all of this chat about things, the pay-per-view stuff. I think that one thing that this whole situation has highlighted is that, and the penny is starting to drop with fans, we don't matter to our clubs. It's the money we put into the clubs that matters. Because with all the COVID pandemic and this situation, it's proven one thing for our clubs. It answers the question, do we need fans in the stadiums to be able to put on football? No, you don't. I mean, there's argument. It's not my argument. It's an argument that the product is better. 7-2 Aston Villa, got Everton at the top of the table, goals everywhere. People paying the pay-per-view. They're not putting feelers out with these kind of things. European Premier League, Project Big Picture. It's not to get our opinion. These are things that have been in the works for years. They're going to happen. They're going to happen if we care about it or not. And I think this year has highlighted that. And it's just a shame that we're having to have these conversations every week rather than analysing the football. There's always something, a big initiative happening. It's a shame, really. And it's awful with the redundancies because, I mean, John and Boothie have said it perfectly. I don't need to add anything there.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I completely agree. It is a strange time for football. I must say, I mean, I miss going to football. I think there is certainly if you are lucky enough to get to go to football for that lucky few, fans are certainly essential. But there is that argument that this whole operation, this whole thing can exist without the fans and operate on a kind of I think that is the globalization of football though, where it's less about the fans on the ground in the stadium in the city, whatever. It's a global sport at that point. And yeah, it seems like presumably a lot of these decisions about redundancies and taking on laying off staff and stuff are made probably from an overseas point of view, where these clubs are run by American investors or Middle Eastern investors, whatever, who don't actually have that day-to-day, face-to-face link with the city that they are actually providing an incredibly kind of vital life support for. So this is certainly, I think, a negative that comes out of one of a whole handful of negatives that come out of the globalization of football. And it's maybe loss of empathy for local people that actually are the beating heart of a lot of these clubs, and certainly these clubs wouldn't be the huge institutions they are without those people having put in blood, sweat, thunder, tears. To quote that Man United fan, I can't think who he is. I would have gone with Pep Guardiola, that guy. Andy something.
Andy Gray. No, Andy.
No.
You
I know
know
what you're
the
talking
one.
about. Because like, is
Andy
that
Tate.
Moisey? You're joking.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, no.
Andy Tate, Andy Tate. To quote him, with all that stuff, these clubs maybe don't get to where they are now and don't get to kind of sit at the big table of world football. John, you got a final point to
Yeah,
add
no,
on
what I
that?
would say is what it's kind of made me feel, and I'm only saying this now, literally just popped in my head now and kind of got this feeling now that for years I've just been an Arsenal fan. I've been to probably 20 games. I'm not lucky enough to get a season ticket holder, but I've never really, supported, found out what, obviously I've coached, in local areas and stuff, but never really gone, okay, what's my local team? Maybe I should put some money into my local team, and support them and go to their games. Obviously, I've moved out to Bracknell for the last, 4 or 5 years. So yeah, maybe that's something I'm going to look into. Put some money into the local team because, Arsenal are, they don't need my money.
They
Right
don't.
They don't need my
That's the
money.
thing, isn't it?
Yeah, Bracknell Town do. So yeah, that's something that maybe as fans we can all probably do and try and look to support the clubs in our local area a bit more.
Yeah, 100%. Well, that does bring to a close episode 54 of the BTF podcast, live here on YouTube and of course also on Spotify and all other good podcast providers, including iTunes. I've never owned Apple products, so I never feel the need to really plug that one. I had an iPod once that I found on the floor of a gig after, and I was always too scared to plug it in and put my music on it in case it would be like attached to someone else's account and it would flag me to the police for having that. That's where I stand on Apple products. But yeah, Boothie, thanks for joining us for your second show. You enjoyed it more or less than last week?
It was definitely better because Levi was not here. So, I definitely enjoyed tonight's pod. But yeah, boys, absolute pleasure as usual.
Yeah. That's a gauntlet thrown for you, Levi, to be here next week to stand your ground. Johnny Mills, you joined us late, but you enjoy this one?
Yeah, man. Good. Always good to see the boys.
Yep, as ever. And Greg, thank you very much for joining us with your Dele Alli picture of the week behind you. Any big plans for the rest of the week, and how quickly are you going to get that Spurs game on after this?
It's been a pretty dull game apparently, but I'll probably turn it on as soon as Bale comes on. Plans for the week, don't really know. Catch up on a little bit of UFC. I've been watching a lot more of that recently because, as I say, I sort of hate football at the moment. But yeah, that's me keeping going in tier 2 life.
Yep. Did everyone watch the Khabib fight? John, did you watch it?
I saw the highlights. Yeah, didn't watch it live.
Yeah.
Legend, he's retiring.
Yeah, probably one retirement that will actually stick, we think. Not one of those fake kind of Mayweather or McGregor type retirements. But yeah, we'll leave it there. So yeah, we'll see you next week. Thanks for watching as ever. Actually, we didn't do the social media roundup. I think we'll leave it for this week. Or should we do it? It's gonna be. It'll take about a minute. Let's try and do it.
And actually do it in a minute.
Yeah, let's try and do it then really quickly. I just got to load these up.
What did we talk about?
3-word answers.
Yeah, here we go. Social roundup. So, all right, let's get that at the top. So, BTF pod. Okay, so this is the BTF 54 social media roundup. First up, we've got Burnley Spurs. Greg, what was your prediction for this game?
I reckon 2-1. We're not going to be able to keep a clean sheet, but we will beat Burnley tonight with a bit of Gareth Bale excellence. That's my prediction there.
John, Dele Alli, good or bad? Should he stay at Spurs or should he go?
He needs to go. He needs to go West Ham or someone like that. Get some game time and try and get back into the England squad.
Boothie, is Arteta-ball working?
Yes, it is. I feel like you've got to believe in the process and just, let him play out the season, see what happens after that.
We'll do a quick whip round on this one. Will Man City finish in the top 2 this year? I'll go first. I think they won't finish in the top 2. Greg, we'll come to you next.
Do you want my short answer or mental gymnastics?
Your short answer. Watch the full thing for the mental gymnastics.
No, and I don't think Pep is going to be there at the end of the summer.
Johnny Mills
No, I think they're going to finish third. Remember, you heard it here first.
and Levi. Sorry,
Levi.
not Levi.
Oh!
And Boothie.
That is twice. That is 2 times in 2 weeks. I'm about to retire from
I got
this
Levi
show.
on the mind. I got Levi on the mind. All right. Living in my head rent free. Boothie.
I'm calling Man City third place this year.
Cool. Man United 0, Chelsea 0. Is Thiago Silva still one of the top 20 defenders in the world? Boothie.
No. Oh, is that my name? Yeah. It was on Levi. Nah, Thiago Silva is wash. Not even top 20 in the Premier League.
All right. Donny van de Beek. Greg.
Oh, who gives a shit? Ollie doesn't. I don't know. He made the wrong call. He's got the wrong team there, isn't he? I don't know. He's fucked it.
And then finally, could Premier League clubs be setting a better example during coronavirus, especially in relation to redundancies made and looking after kind of backroom staff? Johnny Mills.
Yeah, I think they are. I mean, yep, they've got to look after their players. Yep. If there's no burgers to sell yet, maybe give people a little bit of a bonus or something, tide them over, support them. But yeah, you can't be making $45 million transfers and then sacking Gunnosaurus. It don't make any sense. Whoa.
Oh, there we go.
Oh.
Those of you on the YouTube video would have seen John's own mascot walk through the shot there. What's the name? Is that your cat?
It is.
Oh.
See, Levi the cat's turned up.
Yeah, exactly.
She heard her name. Is it boy or girl?
Boy. Georgie.
What?
Like Georgie Best.
Yeah, Georgie Best.
I heard something different. Never mind.
What? All right, we'll leave it there. That's BTF 54. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see